Maybe not so early, but hello, how is everyone? I can see three there. May not be in quite yet. Maybe there, maybe not. We're not quite on it. No, it's not an illusion. I've got my tea here at the side of me. Two of Holland's finest meat and potatoes. There we go, mixing. Mixing the house. Good evening, Mick. Can you hear me good? Microphone all good? Taking it you can, you've said greetings. Jolly good, we're all good. Because I've not done it for a while, Mick. I've always been working recently. But because I kicked off the other day, I looked at my rota the other day, and I've got about 3 or 4 long weekends. Happy days. Happy days indeed. Well, no, it was getting ridiculous, Mick. They weren't looking at what weekends they were giving people. So I went in and kicked off with them. Talking about kicking off, Mick. I was 3 days off getting a Facebook ban lifted, and I've got another 30 days. Apparently, you're not allowed to be honest. Yeah, it is out of character, isn't it, Mick? Don't be lying. We all know I'm an ass. I piss people off, but apparently, all you have to do to piss people off nowadays is tell the truth. Good evening, Paul. Good to see you. Nice to have you coming along, fella. What's everyone been up to? Have you got any shed time in, Mick? Yeah, it's out of character for me, Mick. Very out of character. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Well, I've just been at the moment. I'm restoring an old Engage roundhouse. I got off. It had parts missing and stuff. I got it off eBay for about a fiver. It's an old Atlas kit. I've painted all. Hang on, can we see there? Turn it other way around. I've been painting the inside walls because they were all brick colour inside. Good evening, Valleys. How you doing, Cocker? And one of the doors, I bought some Engage corrugated sheeting, and I made it look like roller shutters because doors were missing. I'm going to have to make another roof section for it. I'm going to cast vents in resin for it, and I've got a more modern Kato one to go next to it. So it's going to be in effect with a Kato one. It's going to be a 6-lane roundhouse. So should be fun. Should be a fun I might do stills photographs for a video to put on. Hey, Valleys, this'll interest you. I'll be going out. I don't know whether you saw my video on photographing Sir Nigel Gresley and Britannia. But I think it's next month now. We've got Pendennis Castle visiting. So I'll be going out to photograph that when I get a chance. It'd be nice to see something different. I'm trying to think. I think we've had a castle before at East Lancs Railway. I think we had Nunney Castle, is it? I'm pretty sure we had Nunney Castle as a visitor. We had Odney Manor. I've not seen that for years. That were a regular visitor. I rode behind that, photographed it, and all sorts. I think the photographs are long lost of Odney Manor. Nice little engine that is. Is it? I don't know whether it's still running. I'll have to look it up. I don't know whether it's running or under a restoration, right? Yeah, there's quite a few manors. I don't know whether Odney Manor's still going though. We're a nice little local Odney Manor. He were in Great Western Green last time I saw it. But as happens, owners get fed up and they restore them in maybe BR black now, or BR green, whatever it was, or even a made up livery. Sometimes there's been habits in preservation of doing different liveries and putting nameplates on the locals that have been scrapped. Which I'm 50-50 on how to take that. I like stuff as original as possible, but then it's like nice giving some variety for photographs and stuff. But then people start asking if you've got fictitious plates of steam engines that didn't survive. You get history confused because you'll get people saying, "Oh, here's a photograph of it. It did survive," and you do get people confused. But it does give a variety for photos, especially if you're an artist for paintings and stuff. But what has everybody been up to today? I've asked, anybody got any modelling done or out at preserved lines? Or has the wife given duties? Her who must be obeyed. Yeah, I don't have that responsibility myself. Fantastic, Mick. What have you got? I saw you just before I come on here. I saw you'd posted some stuff, but I can't reply because I'm banned. I'm banned from total posting for 24 hours. I can't post. I can't even post on my own thread for 24 hours. I must have really pissed them off this time. But yeah, I saw you'd done something in the shed, Mick, but I'm not sure what it is. I think we'll still be able to chat. Good evening, Andy. Good to see you, fella. I was just at the stage of asking what's everybody been up to. Yeah, they proper fed up with me this time. Oh, God. I was 3 days out of getting off the banners, a 30-day ban as well. Got another 30. That even beats me last one, where I got a ban lifted and 20 seconds later I had another. Facebook love me. Violating community standards. They're getting too bloody soft with the community standards. When the truth hurts people, it's not community standards, they're little dictators. We can have our say, but you're not having yours. They're a load of pussies. Cheers, Andy. Yeah, it was a case of I wanted to put something up, but I didn't have a lot of time and stuff because I've had work going on and I'm not in best of health. I'm amazed I haven't got diabetes. God knows how many stone overweight. They make food too tasty. I have other disabilities going on body wise. Nearly lost legs in motorcycle accidents, etc. Yeah, it is. It's so I feel it's gone silly now. The amount on new stuff. Granted, they're good looking, but the amount of detail they put on them, is it really? Some of it you don't even see from a distance. Especially me nowadays. Some of it I don't even see close up. And you're paying X numbers of pounds, and it's. But the thing is, on model railways, whatever you model, whether you like the new stuff and you spend the money on it, or you like the old stuff and like tinkering about with it, it's getting started and build something. Like, you'll always find excuses if you're not building. Oh, I've not got one because of this. I've not done it because of this. I've not done it. And they're all only excuses. I've been in the poorhouse where I've not had a penny to rub together, and I still built a model railway. In fact, I built a 21 foot by 4.5 foot model railway in my loft space where I used to live. And I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I used reclaimed wood for baseboards. I used a table tennis top, battened that underneath, then got some other wood, like surfaces, and I had to adjust the battening for the different thickness of wood. I had to adjust underneath so it levelled out. And you teach yourself carpentry and woodwork and that. You can, if you build it out of reclaimed wood. My first layout when I was a kid, again, I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. I nicked a 6x4 piece of plywood off a building site. I don't, like I said in my video, I don't condone stealing, but you're not telling me if you've no money for model railway stuff, you can't go around skip hunting and find somebody that's doing building work that's took out partitions and find like plywood, battening, stuff like that. Sure, you have to disassemble, take nails out. It might not be perfect, but you can use it. Yeah, exactly. And the actual rolling stock and locos. I was looking the other night, and for a change, I thought I'll leave them for other people. But they were a little army, all 4 hours. £9 one of them were on for. and you can get a wagon lot, 20 quid, 29 quid. It's an afternoon in the pub if I go to pub that. Like a pint's about a fiver a time. If I'm with me mate on a sesh, I can have 4 pints. So there's 20 quid. Chippy on way home or whatever. Another tenner, there's your 30 quid. It's an afternoon in pub with Chippy. Just don't go to the pub for one afternoon and don't have a Chippy. Job done. You can afford a local and a few wagons. I know some of the stuff you do, mate, is amazing. You don't, for those that don't know, Mick's a friend off a die-cast site, lives over in Ireland. So he finds it hard sometimes getting parts that we can get over here. So what he does, he makes stuff and fashions stuff, and he had a couple of wagons the other day, and he made flatbeds and loads for them, and they were really nice. It's like you say, Mick spends no money on it, and he does some nice jobs, like code 3s on wagons and stuff like that. You don't have to be spending a lot. I'm thinking of doing another video. Well, you do, Mick. You do some good jobs. You don't have to be spending loads of money on an hobby. Like, I'm planning on doing another video similar to last two. Till I've got a few long weekends coming up so I can get a few in. And I want to do a car for my diecast channel because I've not done one for ages. And I want to do the TV and film version this time because I've had an idea and it should be hilarious. Amazed I'm not banned off YouTube, to be honest. On my diecast channel, I'm worse than I am here. Because you're dealing more with petrol heads, so petrol heads have a warped sense of humour anyway. Oh, Mick, talk to me about it. I've got a Batmobile and a James Bond, the old Corgi ones. A Batmobile and James Bond I want to restore. And they've got all the normal parts broken that you need. You're easily getting into 50 quid's worth of parts. Plus whatever you spent on the Batmobile. So people don't let them go cheap, the first edition ones. Like I have with the gold metal wheels and red bats and symbol in the middle. They don't let them go cheap, so you can say £20 for a Batmobile, about 50 quid for all the spurs you need. It ends up being 70 quid before you start putting paint on it. Or should I say stripping it off. Then like I say, you need your paint strippers, all the stuff. I have that really. I use caustic soda more than anything, but it ramps up, mate. Like any hobby now, if you do anything for a hobby, it ramps up. And I've watched diecast prices, they're getting silly. I went looking at a fab. It's absolutely stupid, Andy. They're not worth that. You tell me what's the difference. I mean, yeah, there's more research into making it accurate as a model. But how come even, let me think who it is that does them. There's some companies that do a loco that's not a certain type, it's just a fictional loco, like a diesel. They're doing them for £30. Now, even though it's a fictional one, people argue, oh, it's tooling up, it's the design and everything. they've still had to be designed. They've still had to be tooled for. And they're charging 30 quid and Army are charging 300. Don't think so. It's just ridiculous. It's all. I'll tell you where the biggest percentage of that's going. It's all going in shareholders' pockets, 100%. All going in shareholders. They've got stakes in the company and stuff. Like I nearly actually, but I may still get it because it is one I want. Because I had a visit to Birmingham with Mick when he come over from Dublin, and on my way back I saw a Class 66 Northampton Saints, all in a car train, like all new Fords. I think it were all new Ford Transit chassis. And yeah, I quite fancy that for the memory of seeing it and all in a car train. It's too modern for era I'll be modelling, but I do like buying stuff occasionally that I've seen or I like, or I like getting worldwide stuff. I've got New Zealand locals, East German, West German, you name it. Italian locals, I've got French, American. Like I used to like Athern, because Athern were dirt cheap and they were cracking quality. They had a fantastic motors and drives on Athern, and they were dirt cheap at one time, and even them are going up through roof now. Because people, when all the Army and everything started going up to silly prices, they started looking at alternatives, and they realised Athern were good quality and cheap, so now they've zipped up in price. The cracking quality. I've never had an Athern that doesn't run. All they've ever needed is a strip of clean and a lube, and they run. But it's not that often you'll get one that doesn't run. The worst offender you'll get on Athern is because a lot are getting old now. The mortar bearings underneath. You have 2 mortar bearings on Athern locals, and they perish with age. And that's the biggest fault you'll find on them. You'll have to get new mortar bearings. And the only place you can get them from is States, as far as I know. So I bought them from the States on eBay, shipped them in. So you have to hunt around then to who does the cheapest shipping, because some ask for silly money to post from States. I don't know whether I've got an Athern here. There's one video I'm working on. Oh yeah, I've got one. I've got one there. I forgot that one with her. Hang on, where's camera? There we go. Them 4 white dots there are the mortar mountains. They perish them. But yeah, that's a good set. They're still shiny white. But yeah, at the moment, I think the next loco build one will be the Class 20. It's an Army double O, and it was BR green. But so far I've done the yellow and rail blue, and I've done fading on it, airbrush some fading. I've got flush glaze to go on it. I've to decal it. I've to put the black on. I'll probably weather it as well and pin wash it and stuff. And I've got the chassis running. So that should be a nice little loco when it's up and running. Yeah, you told me about that other day, Mick. £3.50 for the tailgate for the Corgi Citroen you're doing, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. It kills you off. You're not in right mind, are you, if you pay £25 postage for a 350 part? But like you said, you can get them here in England, and you'll get them, but it's the weight with Steve Flowers at Model Supplies. Can be an horrendous weight. He posts stuff out off eBay more or less instantly. And I don't get it. You know, you can buy one part of him on eBay and you can spend about, say, £3.50 and you get, say, £4 postage. Now, I phoned them up and I've ordered about 20 parts. I give him something like a 60 quid order. And the way they do business is weird. You ask them on the phone how much it'll be, and they say, oh, we don't know, we'll have to work it out. Well, hang on a minute. You should have something in front of you telling you how much my order's going to be, but I let it go. I still got them. But then you wait a month, etc., for him to post out. But if you order one part on eBay, he posts it out in no time. Yeah. Can be silly valleys. That can be the case with a lot of things. Like, you can pay less from the original. I've had that in the motor industry, where pattern parts have been more expensive than original parts. And you sit there and go, seriously? Like you say, you're paying more money for second-hand parts. And Bachman will be sending it, yeah, brand new. I just don't get it. Thing is with us, though, when you do die cast, you've not much option, unless, like Mick does, he makes stuff from scratch. You've not much option but buy from these people. But I don't get the customer care and running a business wise. I get it, you look after everyone, but I don't see the sense in posting a £3 item and postage £3, £4 out on the same day they get the order, but you give them an order for £60 and they leave you waiting for a month. How's that customer care? Unless they have the attitude, oh, he's a big restorer, we've obviously got him. Because, yeah, there aren't many options out there if you want Spurs. I only know of two nowadays. You've got is it the Belgian one, mate? Over in Belgium, and you have the Aussie one over in Oz, do parts. And the Aussie one for sending stuff over to England is astronomical prices. Yeah, whoever there aren't that many about supplying them. Model railways are even less so. Because model railways, you have to strip other locos. Nobody does really replacement part services for them. And the trouble is, like in the die-cast world, the trouble is you strip a model and you'll sell all the same parts. Within the first few minutes it hits the market, you'll sell all the parts that break normally. Then you're left forever and a day with the parts that don't break. Say a chassis, cast iron chassis, you'll have that on your shelf for months, possibly years. But the parts that actually break will ship out instantly. Excuse me. Like you probably won't know so much, mate. But in the model railway world, try finding a Triang Hornby, Flying Scotsman, or Battle of Britain piston block. You've more chance of finding the Holy Grail. Because they just don't turn up that often. And when they do, people know what they're worth. Well, I'll rephrase that. Not what they're worth, it's what they can charge, sting people for. Is the real phrasing. That's it. People have got. People now have the option of. They want to sting you for as much as they can get for stuff. Which ones you got, dollies? Yeah, which ones have we got, lads? I'm not sure which ones I have. I know in my Matchbox cars. I was mentioning them very rarities the other day. Paints, colours are things they did to them, are differences in castings that probably only lasted a couple of months or whatever. And I've always been lucky getting the rarities that people have put them on the stall and not noticed and didn't know what they were. I very nearly stripped one and painted it. You've done the very same, haven't you, mate? You did. You did strip it and paint it. Excellent, Valleys. What are they? Oh, hang on. I think I might be getting where you're going with it. Yeah, I think I'm probably getting where you're going with that. But yeah, there's some people you're getting on eBay now, and not all of them. Some ask for realistic prices, or they start the bidding at £1, or if I advertise anything on bidding, I always start the bidding at £1 and put a reserve on it. Put a bidding starting at £1, put a reserve on it, and you'll probably get more than what you wanted for it. Because the thing is, you put a price on, bidding starting at just under what it's worth, or about on what it's worth, and it puts people off. Because the problem is, you're on a site that's hard work. This, I'm on a camera, I can see it, but it's spun the opposite way around. Excellent deal. Excellent deal indeed, fellas. For Bosch. Bosch and in good working order. Great bit of kit. We used to use Bosch gear when I worked fitting security shutters. And we had 24-hour call out for break-ins or any security shutters that went faulty. And people were wanting shut up. So we'd get called out at some silly times. Funniest one we had, we actually went to an Asian mini market and we were working doing it and everything. We're working at this Asian mini market and we finished up and we said, right, we need a signature from shop owner who authorised the work and everything. And he shouts through to the back for his brother. He just goes, "Oi, a poo, somebody wants you." We absolutely wet ourselves. And he just goes, "Yeah, no." Bless him. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, though. He went, "Oh, you poo." I think I mentioned this one the other day, Mick, and you didn't remember it. That one you give to me. That'll probably end up somewhere on the N-gauge layout I'm doing. Like FP45 it is, an Amtrak one. Nice little model. Yeah, it's a nice little model. It can go on one of the roads that's coming off the turntable. Because I'm going to be doing a roundhouse and turntable and roads. Yeah, it'll fit in, mate. It'll fit in somewhere. I may get tissue paper and make a tarpaulin for over part of it, like they're working on restoring it, because it's not a running loco. It's a dummy loco. So it'll look good with a tarpaulin over it and weathered. I'll add to the scene, because the idea with the American N-gauge is I'm not having a particular area or whatever. I'm just having it like what we call in the UK a preservation society. And there's basically going to be all sorts of locos there in all different liveries. They're all American, really. But I've got a little steamer. It's a German one. But it could pass for American, so that can go on the layout. I got it in a job lot of locos the other day. Well, the other week now. I got a nice little, I think it's an Atlas CN loco. That'll go in lovely, nice runner. I've got another lifelike, I think it is. Trying to remember. Oh, that's a Burlington, I think. So that can be weathered possibly. It needs. They haven't done the livery proper colours. Whoever made the model just went, that'll do. The top's white and it should be grey. For Burlington, I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking of trying, but it hasn't worked. I've got a couple of Santa Fe's somewhere around. If you want a Santa Fe F unit, they're everywhere. Yeah, if you want a Santa Fe F unit, war bonnet livery, it's harder trying to avoid them than find them. I was just thinking I have a couple here, but I moved them into the front room, the bodies off them. Yeah, that silver and red livery, war bonnet on F units, they're plentiful. Yeah, the war bonnet was a nice livery. Taken from the, obviously taken from the Indian heritage. Hang on, watch it. I might get another bam. Native American history of the American headdress, the war bonnet. But yeah, it was a tidy livery, that. It was nice. If you ask anybody that knows just a little bit about railways, everyone will know the Santa Fe war bonnet livery. Everybody knows, if you're a certain age anyway. There's certain ones everyone notices, like Santa Fe, Amtrak, like stuff like that. Burlington Northern was a big one, which Burlington Northern and Santa Fe have merged, and it's today's BNSF. And it's an orange and brown livery nowadays. Which is really nice. I've not got a BNSF yet. There's two I want to get yet. There's a BNSF. I'd like a BNSF loco. And I'd like a Norfolk and Southern, I think it is. The black with a rearing stallion on it. I like that livery as well. That looks good. No matter how much you research, American railroad companies, you can keep going and going and going, and it's never ending. There'll still be another that pops up that you've never heard of. There's so many railroad companies in America over the years, it's unbelievable. I don't know how much you follow the American railroad scene, but I'm trying to think of his name now. He's called Hobo something. And he were an old guy, and he used to hop the carriages, American carriages, and ride from place to place. But he went missing, and they did a search over last week or so. Hobo Shoestring, I think he's were called. And they did a hunt for him, and God bless his soul, I think they found him dead near his own property. God bless him. But he sounded an harmless soul. All he did were he used to do wild camping out in the wild next to railroad yards. Then he'd hop on a train and see where next place took him. Now, adventure and a half, that is a life. Keep under stars and just ride the railways, see where you end up. I guess it's not as much fun in the UK. It's not as big an adventure. I mean, one day you can go from one side of the country, well, right at the top end of the country to the bottom in one day. Yeah, they get so far up round valleys, it's unreal. They do a lot of running around. It's amazing how far American and Canadian railways get. Some of the trains, the length of some of the trains, they're almost the width of the UK. I think you'd have the ends dangling over the white sides of the UK at the shortest point, their longest trains. They're unbelievable. I watched one night, one night, he'd had military stuff on. And he'd had about 6 locomotives on, I think. And the video, it just went, oh, no, oh, no. Oh. And you're like, I forget how many I counted, but I went back to the beginning and I counted all the cars on it. And it was an unbelievable length. I'm sure I got over 100 cars on it. So if you say each one of them's 50 foot, each one, which they're longer, the American ones, but just say, for instance, the 50 foot. 100 times 50 is 5,000, isn't it? A rough guess. Last time I went to school. Because you had the 2 zeros off the 100 onto your number. So, yeah, it'd be 5,000 foot. Holy shish kebab, that's a long train. I wouldn't like to have to be a driver and walk back to the guard if there were a problem. Yeah, it's a hell of a size train, some of them are. I can believe it, yeah, unbelievable. And the thing is, if you bought it as a model, you wouldn't have the layout to run that on. Even the American railway modelers that build the big layouts would struggle with that length of train. They have to use modeler's license. Yeah, they have to use modeler's license on it, and yeah, I reckon so, valid. Because you reckon that section, yeah, I reckon it would be, you know. It's got to be. Even that layout, I reckon it'd be longer than his layout, the actual consist. And that's HO against double O. One hell of a consist, there's some of them. You look at some of the American modelers, though. I love me British scene and I'll be making mine British. But some of the stuff that's available, I discussed this other day. Some of the stuff, well, I've put it on comments in other YouTubers' videos, like Iron Horse, Craig over there. He were asking about American stuff. And I don't know if anybody, I've watched a video with Jason Jensen's today. And he makes his own buildings and sells them. And he'll review other people's kits. But, you know, Bunter's Yard do them over it. I bought some of his gear, actually. Bunter's Yard. I bought that sand house. He did the video the other week. I'll build that at some point. But you compare our buildings to the American buildings. Go and have a look at the kits Jason Jensen releases and other people that are reviews. The variety of buildings and variety of subjects he does, and it's just astronomical, and the quality, the leaps and bounds above ours in quality wise. Like we're still selling. I know they're still applicable, but we still sell Will's fine cast stuff and stuff that's been going since the 70s or 80s, and like super quick cardboard buildings. Hornby in the old range building, they just play buildings really. He does some fantastic weathering. I like his channel, but I don't think he's concentrating on his channel much now, unless he does videos on buildings he's done. Because what he does, Bunter's Yard, I've got another thing off him. I've got a billboard I've sent away for an advert for a billboard kit he does. But he puts that QR thing on. I can't use them. I've no mobile phone or anything. But you can get to him by that, and it brings up. You can go to his video via that, and it shows you how to build it. And he's got some cracking stuff, but I think he's concentrating rather than doing his weathering. He's concentrating on building up his building kits. I wish him luck because he's doing some good subjects. And he's doing some cracking detailed subjects. But even Bunter's Yard, if you compare him to the American stuff that's available, it's nowhere near the quality. Yeah, but I think Bunter's Yard were different. I think he started on his weathering before he started a company up. I think he started his channel on model railways before he started a company. I may be wrong, but I think he did. Yeah, but he's a good channel. I enjoy it. But he's not posting as often as he used to, and when he does, he's posting to demo a kit rather than. Fair goes, he builds it and he weathers it, so he shows you it's a decent kit. Yeah, that Jason Jensen website, beautiful buildings. I mean, they're not cheap, granted, and you have the US postage, but for the quality for the buildings you get, it's worth it. Even in plastic, I got one the other week. It's hidden. It's an American kit, but it'll fit in with a building. It'll fit in for a building in the position where it was on my layout for the. It won't look out of place, and I can't remember what the building was exactly like, but it's similar. But the Walthers kit, this one, it's import mortars, and it's like a British Art Deco building. It's an American kit, but it's like a British Art Deco building. And I'm going to have it as an HGV sales and service part. Because I've got a couple of old Keelcraft tractor units. I think it's an old Volvo and might be an old Ford. They could go in the yard, and a few bits and pieces like oil tanks and stuff on the outside. Yeah, Jason Jensen trains valleys. He does some cracking buildings. It's worth watching if for nothing else, for paint instruction, because he's a fantastic building art. For painting buildings, he is outstanding. That lad's at top again for painting buildings. His videos are very interesting to watch. And assembly of kits, because if the kit isn't exactly how he wants it, he'll alter it. He'll alter the kit and he'll scratch build it, and he'll get another kit and do part of it slightly different and make another building altogether. He's very, very talented lad. Have you ever watched Plasmo Valleys, a plastic modeler? He's damn good. Yeah, he makes World War II aircraft. He'll do a battleship. Plasmo, yeah, Plasmo's excellent. He's top of the field, that lad. He is good. I've got oil paints, and he actually did. Because I'm an artist, I've got oil paints, acrylics. Because I paint in oil paints, I paint in acrylics, I paint in watercolours when I get the urge. I've not done any for years, but they're there. I've got all top flight artist stuff though. But that Plasmo, we did a video on painting an airplane in oil colours and by brush. And I'm not kidding you, it was outstanding. It beats anything you could spray. Yeah, he's damn good. I think I might have watched his Warthog one. But he's outstanding. Which was the one I watched him do? I forget the type of aircraft, but he got two makes of aircraft. Same aircraft, but two different companies' kits. Because he liked the fuselage on one and the wings on the other. And he said the wings fitted the slats and flaps better. And he did I'm trying to think what aircraft that was. But that was the same. He cut open flaps, slats, and scratch belts, and he's outstanding. I don't know who it was, Valleys, but there used to be a guy, and he was the most obsessive modeler I've ever seen. One of the most obsessive going. He'd buy World War I aircraft, and the last one I saw him do was hang on, which one? It was one of the World War I flying boats. And I'm not lying, as true as I'm stood here, in one, I think it was a Felix store flying boat, I think he built. And without a word of a lie, you know, 1/72, they just do the occasional bulkhead, occasional seat. He scratch built everything that was inside that aircraft, down to control lines, pulleys. He'd put map table in it. He'd put everything that was in the real aircraft was inside it. It was just mind blowing. He must have been sat there with a bloody, what do you call it? What they call them? Microscope looking down it. He must have been working under a bloody microscope, that lad. Yeah, it's unreal. It weren't it? It was something like a 1/72 Felix door flying boat, the World War II vintage one. Oh, that guy was mind blowing. I've seen other guys. One built. I think it was 1/650 scale. Modelling my dad's battleship he were on in World War II, the Queen Elizabeth. And that had walrus flying boats on it. And this guy, he went to that much trouble. Bear in mind, it was 1/650th scale or whatever it was, 1/700 around that mark. He actually rigged the walrus flying boats. He put the rigging on the wings, and you looked at it and went, seriously? Yeah, that guy was unreal as well. Rigging the bloody walrus flying boats. I'd be lucky if I could assemble the main parts at that scale. I've got one. I want to start at the Moskvich, the Russian submarine hunter with helicopters. A helicopter carrier submarine hunter. And I've got all the white ensign etched brass for it. So that should be a good build. Yeah, I know some of the stuff they do. If you look at, we do die-cast cars if Mick's still in. And there's one of the guys from Thailand in 1/64th. He makes them fully remote controlled. And he builds all his own scratch built suspension. You're still there. Have you seen him, Mick? I think he's called Jakarta or something. I might be wrong. He's one of the Indonesian lads. Him that builds all radio control into 1/64. Hot Wheels cars and vans, and he scratch builds suspension and steering, and yeah, he's damn good. And then he does all the custom paint, and he builds drift cars and stuff. He's outstanding. Your jaw just drops what he does, especially putting the remote control in it. You're just mind blown. Because where have I've got loads up here. 1/64th scale. For those that aren't familiar, this one's very dusty. I did a custom one of a Rover model. That's about as far as I go. But that was a model Rover released to the SD1 in that colour. That colour with gold wheels. I've got it as close as I can. It was the very first model. But the guy from Indonesia had put full remote control in that and scratch build his own suspension and steering for it. Mind-blowing guy he is. Yeah, it's the SD1, but it was it's a rare model. I forget what they called it now. But it was one of the limited editions, one of the original models of the SD1. they released it in a metallic pea green with gold wheels. It were a beautiful car. Back in my history, the SD1 V8s were some of the first cars I drove. As a kid, as a teenager. I was getting early 80s, I was getting in them beasts. Learning to, teaching myself to driving them. They're a beautiful car, but like most of the BL stuff back then, they had beautiful designs. If they got it right, beautiful mechanics, but they built them shoddy. They looked good for a time till things started falling off. Or things warped in the sun or were affected by water. And it was still same when they changed to Rover when I worked for them. In the Rover 800s, most of them had a leak in the tailgate, and it was never sorted from factory to from first model to the last. They never bothered sorting it. They used to botch it and make it right at dealers. I'll never forget one of them stood out in our backyard with one mechanic with an hose pipe and the other inside, trying to look where the leak were coming from. And that was on the 800 sterling he was in. Yeah, yeah, they went. We had a Marina. The only car in history that they brought out an 1800 and called it a super, and it was worse than the 1300 version. Because they didn't alter the rolling chassis. They didn't alter the rolling chassis to account for the B series engine. The B series engine were an heavy lump compared to the A series, and they just left the normal torque bar suspension that they were using for the 1300. It was great on the Morris Minor. It was great on the Morris Minor and the Morris Marina 1300. But when you put what was essentially an MGB engine into the same body shell, it was an heavy old lump of an engine, and you only had cheap torsion bars to handle the suspension. It was never going to work as good as the 1300. They looked fantastic, but the Allegro, again, it was a fantastic design. I loved what were the limited edition one called? That were it, the Allegro Equip. The silver one with the orange and red and black striping. The limited edition. That was a beautiful car. And I thought the Allegro was a brilliant design for the time. But they made them shoddy and did stupid things. Who on earth puts a square steering wheel in a car? Says no one ever. Which one did you drive though, Valleys, with your solid racing engine in it? Was it a rubber bumper or was it a chrome bumper? Yeah, so it'd have been a rubber bumper. Yeah, that's what screwed it up. They should have left the MGB alone, but what they did, they altered it for the American market. They changed the ride height and the weight of the rubber bumpers through all the handling out. It screwed up a good handling car when they made it for the American market. They should have, the original design, it was good. But rubber bumper, I still wouldn't say no to one. Don't get me wrong, if somebody offered me one now, I still won't say no. But at the moment, MG prices are going down while everything else is going up. I think they've passed the. I think MGs have passed the peak now. They're starting dropping in value rather than going up. I wouldn't say no to one. I'd quite like an MGB. MGB, MGC, or an MGV8. Hey, I wouldn't call them crap so much, Valleys. They've learned lessons better than we did. My friend has one and it's a nice car. The equipment inside, riding it, and the quality, it's, I mean, I don't know, you have to see how long they'll last. Yeah, but to be fair, the idea isn't to crash on valleys. I had a motorcycle, 99.999% of them are shit in crash tests. The idea is to try and avoid crashing them. It's just the look of the droid. Whatever you're in, if you hit something wrong and it's not your time, you'll cop it anyway. It's like I said to mate with crash helmets. Yeah, that's it. Crumples, I used to drive the Bedford Rascal van. If I ever hit anything with that, I'd have lost my legs. Don't hit anything. If you do, try to make sure the passenger side cops it. No, I shouldn't say shit like that. But yeah, I don't drive nowadays anyway. I just go by bus. I can have a drink on bus. Well, not actually on the bus. Ow! But yeah, in all honesty, like crash tests, I never watch them nowadays because I've seen some that would have been rated good in crash tests. I saw a a nearly new Mercedes at the back end of a old Ford Mondeo one time. About 2003, this was. 2002, 2003. And the Merc weren't that old. And the Mondeo by then were a bit out, getting on a bit. The Mondeo were repaired with very little damage on it, and the Mercedes were written off and scrapped. Its front, and it were only a back ender on the Mercedes run up the Mondeo's arse end. I think a new bumper and bit of paint saw the Mondeo right. Hey, the Mercedes, it was crumpled up, the bonnet was folded in two, and it was quarter of the length it should have been. So, where do you go? That's Mercedes quality. Against forward. How much more do you pay more for a Mercedes than a forward? And yeah, your mind says I'll be better off in a Mercedes in an accident than a Ford. I'd rather be in the Ford. I bet there's a lot of cars a lot worse than the new MGs they call it. Like I say, it's not a bad little motor. Yeah, it won't be a lot by comparison. It's well equipped. It's just looks nice. It's nice enough looking car. Goes well enough. Reliable. Yeah, but that were when Mercs built cars. My friend has one of the Pergoda roof Merc Sports, a V8 one in his garage. It's to be fair, it's alongside his E-Type and his Ford RS 2000. They're solid. My friend has it. Lovely car. I've had a spin in it. But they were tough. That's when Mercedes made them. My friend, a farmer I knew, he used to have one of the diesel Merc saloons. An old, I think he were early 80s one, possibly late 70s. I forget the reg on it. But we used to use it for towing water tanks, etc., into horses' field and hoist the trailer and work off the back of it, doing fencing in the fields. And he had that instead of a Land Rover. Yeah, so he used an old Merc estate, diesel estate, instead of having a Land Rover, because it doubled up as his get-around car as well. Yeah, he's going, as Vice Grip Garage would say, it's my going to town car. Hey up, how you doing? Good to see you, Luke. Luke's another one off the Diecast forum, guys. He does diecast cars and he's an excellent paint man. I'd advise anyone on here to check out his channel. He's reasonably new, but his builds are outstanding. They're really good builds. I've watched a few of them. His Matchbox king size Charger was an outstanding build. You're welcome with it, Luke. Your channel's really good. You're doing some good work there. Really top flight stuff. Like you're getting, well, you're on a level really, or getting very close to. I don't know whether you ever saw, did you ever see Diecast Resurrection? The Canadian guy, Austin. He did custom paint and it. I know, but I don't know whether you've ever seen him, Luke. Because Paul, you get on with Paul and that on DMC, and he can be negative towards him because he's a Canadian and a bot. if you go and watch Diecast Resurrections, Ben, he was an outstanding paintman. He did some beautiful custom paint jobs. Yeah, Marty's good on the whole. He's entertaining, Mick. He's an entertaining channel, and even that now it's dropped a bit to me. I think he's lost it to a degree what he used to be. Because he was an entertaining channel rather than quality. He had his koala on it, and he were always doing something funny, and he got the family involved, and he'd do backstories with you don't get half of that now, and it's not. His restorations are okay, but make no mistake, Mick, you go and watch Diecast Resurrection and watch his paint quality, and Marty's nowhere near. Like I say, he's a good channel to watch, Marty. Don't get me wrong, but his paint qualities nowhere near Diecast Resurrection. Kevin the Koala were fantastic, but he doesn't do it now. Yeah, he doesn't do Kevin now, and it's got. I can still watch him, don't get me wrong, he's still entertaining. Because he's doing other bits and pieces now around his homestead and the stuff he's building and the Australian trains going through the outback. But he's not got half the content of Kevin the Koala. At the moment, yeah, I think he does, I think he's switched off from it and he's concentrated. He's not putting as much into it as he used to. I think he's more interested in settling down and retiring. It's part of what he's doing, but it's not. I think before it was probably an escape from work and he put more into it, but now I think he's getting more out of his day-to-day life. Now he's retired. He's had an heart attack, so he's probably re-evaluated life and thought, is it really that important? And I want a nice out home life. He's in outback, he's got all his chickens and his small holding. Well, small holding. It's what we'd call a farm in the UK. But he's got a small holding, he's got quite a bit of land there. He's got enough to need a sit-on mower. And yeah, he's got a massive holding. And I think he's concentrating on doing stuff with that now rather than. He doesn't put half as much into his diecast videos. I think he just does them as now and again as a sideline. Like I say, I think before it was an escape from work and the day-to-day humdrum. Don't get me wrong, there's still good videos. He still does a good job, but he doesn't quite. For me, I watched one the other day, and he doesn't quite reach his old quality. Sad, really. But I wish him well in what he does. I have interest in his other videos now, to be honest, more than his diecast restorations. Because I think he's covered as much as he can in his diecast restorations. Anyway, if you stick to Matchbox, I think he's done most models now. And I like seeing his coverage of the railway lines around him talking about the postwoman that comes around. I like seeing like what he's doing around his property. It's interesting seeing a different form of lifestyle in the outback, because it's an harsh way of living, but he's retired there. And I can't fault him. It's out of everybody's way. He doesn't have to put up with all the people he had to put up with before. See, one thing Marty would never tell you, I don't know what he worked as, but I asked him numerous times what he actually worked as now while he were working, and he wouldn't tell me. He always avoided the subject. So I don't know whether he had a sort of job that he wanted to keep it quiet. What? I don't know. He may have been in the type of job you don't broadcast. Because he'd always talk to you about RAF days. But if he's ex-services personnel, it could have gone in to something you keep stum about. But it's obviously suiting him being retired. Just shame that Paul had a heart attack as he were doing it. But I guess we're all getting near that level now. None of us are getting any younger. I wake up some mornings and I think the Grim Reaper's tapping on my shoulder. Some mornings. So yeah, have you been doing anything, Lee? Lee, Luke. Sorry, mate. I've been doing that at work lately, getting people's names wrong. Yeah, I know you've done something, mate. I was seeing if Luke has. Seeing what Luke's up to. Like I say, I'm hoping to. Yeah, I know the feeling. I'm in tomorrow, then I've got a couple of days off. So I'll probably make a start on the film and TV build. I've got something weird and zany I'm planning. I ain't saying nothing. But it'll be politically incorrect as well. So it should be fun. But yeah, I'm definitely going for the politically correct and a bit of politically incorrect and a bit of fun build and video. I think you'll like it. I've had the idea for quite a bit. I think it was going to be last year's film and TV car. That's how long it's been on the planning. It stripped down the paints off it. To polish the chrome up. Like give the polish. I might wire wheel it first. End up going to work with bloody wire strands in my socks. Trying to take them out for the rest of the day. Then polish up the chrome areas. Well, it should be nice. I have a plan. Or as Blackadder said, I have a cunning plan. But I should get a giggle. Which is what it's all about. I don't take my diecast channel too seriously. I've had a break from it because I'm doing model railways. and it's quite involved, all the model railway stuff we've got. I'm actually, one of them, I think Luke and Mick saw it the other day. I've got an old Hornby 08. I've done quite a bit of the painting on it. Made a start of the bits of the weathering. Like the bumblebee lining wasn't finished. They don't paint it on the bottom part, so I've had to freehand the warning stripes in on bottom part. I've painted the lamps orange, and I have to repair the chassis, so I'm going to make it so it screws together. I'm going to do some weathering, redeckle it. I've got some flush glaze for it, give it a good service, and then, but it's one I'm not doing a video for. So I might do a short for that and show it running. Good evening, Raymond. Good to have you along. Good to see you. It will be once it's done. I've checked it. It runs okay now, but it'll run better with a service. A good service, and then deckle it up, maybe a bit of weathering on it. It's going to get flush glaze. I've got a few packs of 08 flush glazing. You know, the Will's fine cast. So it'll get that in it, and who knows? They're a nice model. I've got a Bachmann. Oh wait, they're a good model. Should be nice to make a 13 out of. Did they call them cow and calf? They called them cow and calf units, didn't they? From me, offhand memory. Yeah, I think mine is Valley. I think mine's the old non-DCC. I might be wrong, it may be DCC. I don't think I got it in a box. Knowing me, I may have got it in a box. I've just been on most of the time. This week, me mate. Where is it? One of my most recent purchases, believe it or not, was that. The Hornby Desmond. Hey, and I don't know whether you can see it. Hang on. Will it show up? Is that showing up? No. It's pale anyway. The price was, and I'm guessing it'd have been early to mid 80s. It did sell for £8.45 at WH Smith. But I bought that because I already had a Desmond, and it's a nice little loco. But I tanked it round my layout, and it come off the top curb, hit the floor, and lost its chimney like most of them did. So I bought one that still has the chimney, and I stripped the broken one down. That one. I stripped that one down. I put the chassis on another body that had a non-working chassis. So it's got a working chassis now. And I used one of the handrails on this one I got off eBay. that somebody they did detailing and weathering on it, and they did a beautiful job. And then they left it without a mortar for a sidings decorate. So I've got all the innards. I've got the contacts, the mortar, the bushes, the mortar clip. I've got everything to put the mortar in again. So I'm going to mortarise it again. But look at that. Why would you? It's even extended like they did. He's put boards to extend the coal bunkers. So it's got coal right up to the top. And then he's made it a non-running model. Now the strangest thought, because that's a lovely. Like I put that rail were missing on that side. So I used the rail off Desmond. But I don't get it. Why go to all that trouble of all that nice weathering and doing upgrades to it, then have it as a non-runner? I am doing valleys, putting them up. I may even, for that, build a wagon tender for it. I may even put one of the more modern slow, change the gear over and put one of the more modern slow running ones in it and put a tender on it. It's worth it, that is. They've done a nice job on it. I might it needs a BR number as well. It's got the BR Lion, but they've not put a number on it, which I don't know. I may be wrong, but I didn't think any BR loco escaped having a number. I think they all got numbered, because the first ones in the numbering system were Great Western, so they retained the plates rather than numbers painted on them. The Great Western retained their brass plates. Even the Westerns, the diesels had plates on them. Yeah, it were originally an LMS loco, but they were built in Scotland, but like you said, they made their way around. Oh, God, I've done a backman the other day in the I can get some backmans for next to nothing because they're non-runners. And when you strip them down, it's the blue grease they used to use. And it's changed into like Evo stick glue. It takes a lot of cleaning off, but clean it off and re-grease it. And I've got one somewhere, one of the early-ish backmans. Cracking loco, but I had to strip all the motor and gears out. Strip all the factory grease out of it. Clean it all up, re-grease it, and it's a cracking little loco now. Yeah, it was a problem. It was when, and I wouldn't mind Dormier having that problem now. It's Chinese factories. I keep saying, yeah, they look beautiful, but mechanically they're not as good as they were. Because you used to see it all the Earthix, mainline stuff and everything, you can get them for nothing because you don't know how long it's going to be. If they're running, you don't know how long it's going to be till they split an axle. In fact, if you're buying them, someone's selling them, you're lucky if they haven't got a split axle. I've moved them now, but I had a box full of J72s. I bought about 3 or 4 of them with the idea to repairing them, because you could buy the gears, but they're too much aggro, and they're not clip-in and secure gears. You have to glue them as well, and they can still be as bad as original. Yeah, there's some quality ones there, Raymond. Yeah, I forgot what make it is. I think it might be Pico, I might be wrong. But I have a couple of East German locomotives, similar to the warships, or the Deutsche Bundesbahn loco they have Deutsche Reichsbahn ones, and they're really good quality locos. I'm not so sure. I think it might have been another name, but they're similar to Pico. Trying to think of the name now. I could go now. Yeah, similar to the V200. Yeah, I know, Raymond. West Germany's Bundesbahn and Reichsbahn were east. These are Reichsbahn locos. They're actually an East German company. Thank you, Raymond. That's it. Got sold. I've got the blue and the red one of them. What cracking locomotives they are for the era they were made in and where they were made. Fantastic quality for a communist bloc country. They're outstanding quality. I've got to get round to doing them too, because what a cracking idea on them as well. The buffers are rubber on them, so they don't get broken off. There's a few could use that idea today. Like, catch a buffer and it just bounces around. What an idea. But they have lighting in and quality made. In fact, I'd say when they were brand new, they were outstanding quality compared to today's Hornby. They might not be as showy, but the quality is about 10 times better than Hornby's quality of today. And that were Eastern Bloc countries from what? Must be 40, 50 years ago now, since Got Sold were made. It was 1990 when 1989, 90 when wall came down. Going back quite a while. I remember I was sat in the pub the night it came down. I started to come down. Me and my mate were drinking drinking a beer, watching the TV, going, what? The old WTF over the top of heads. Saying, what's going on here? They're all sat on top of the wall. Has to be one of, from my lifetime, there's a few memories that stick to the top of your mind. Twin Towers is an obvious one. Berlin Wall coming down is another one. But there's not many news stories of that magnitude. Well, it's the thing is, and that's the problem with our education system, Valleys. It's a red communist system, our education system. It's hugely left wing. And to be honest, I think they should kick all politics out of education systems. You're not there to have political ideas and stuff. You're there to learn things for the good of your communities, like doctors, architects, stuff like that. If you want politics, study that outside universities. Because all this shower of shit politicians we have now, they've probably all been to university. Not a single one of them has any clue of what happens outside the education system. And most of them are middle to upper class anyway. We have two parties coming up to vote for. Because, yeah, there's other parties, but let's be honest. Even if you wanted them to do well, and you went in and out and voted for them, they won't get in because the sheep in this country will only ever vote Tory or Labour. They don't see anything between them two. So you'll always get one of them two. In fact, the way the political system's run in the UK, it doesn't matter which party gets in, because you'll get the same whoever you vote for. Well, here in the UK, they're sort of similar, Raymond, except our politicians don't run the show. Big business and our civil servants tell the politicians what they're doing. The politicians have no say in the matter. All the politicians have ever been is over here. We have two main political leaders, to give you a clue, Raymond, and both of them are multi-millionaire businessmen. And you're not telling me they have the interests of the average person at hand. They've got vested interests. They're there to look after their millionaire businesses. If they pass something that benefited you, it'd make them worse off. So they ain't gonna pass it. Yeah. Exactly, Raymond. They're looking after themselves. And I've no doubt it's the same in the US as here. They'll look after themselves first. And the businesses, they don't give a shit about the homeless or wages not going up. And for them, they'll import all the illegal immigrants they can because it drives wages down to give them more profit. They don't give a shit about your living standards as long as they're okay. I'll never forget it. It was surreal when Twin Towers come down, because I were at work and I were patrolling the streets, because I worked as a community safety warden. Like, we worked in conjunction with police, and I had first aid and everything. I'd done all full first aid course. If anybody had a, heart attack or a accident or whatever, I were there to administer first aid, chase shoplifters, apprehend shoplifters, just basically policing on the cheap, really. I'll never forget, we were walking past the TV shop, and they showed the first plane hitting the first tower. And we thought it was a movie, like a lot of people did. It was surreal. You couldn't contemplate something like that happening for real. Anyway, we saw first one hit, and then we saw another one hit, and it became apparent what was going on. And even one of the methods or whatever, he's gone now, God bless him. He was a character on the town centre. He used to get in your face and everything, and if you backed down, your life were a misery. But if you stood up to him, he'd tap you on the shoulder and go, "You're all right, you'll do for me." But even he was charging round going, "This is going to change the world. This is going to be war." And he was right. The world's never been settled since. The world's never been settled place since that. Yeah, I don't buy. Yeah, I don't buy all these people. Conspiracy theorists, these saying the government did it and that. I'm afraid I have to call bullshit on them. I mean, you think of it. The scale they'd have had to do that to bring them down, they'd have had to put all the explosives on the beams. They'd have had to cut beams. They'd have had to do it. And they've done that on the size of buildings and everywhere they would have needed to do it. And nobody saw anything. Out of all, the buildings never shut down and nobody saw them doing anything. Nobody went into work on the desk and thought, "Hang on a minute, my fucking papers have been shuffled here. They've moved my computer screen. I'm not up." Bullshit. It was what it was. You know, Raymond, I remember. I'm old enough to remember them being built. And I watched in fascination when they were, because they were unbelievable buildings. They were out of height of them. The tightrope walker, Waldo, or whatever he was called, he tightrope walked between the two buildings. It was a huge feat of engineering, and I've admired them all my life, really, till they went, and that's why it was such a shocker. It was just, where do you go, and the death toll to it. Like the firemen, deep respect to them. They were rushing in, and some of them guys must have known what they were rushing into and the possibilities. They're not dim lads, they do it every day for their living. they understand building collapses, and they must have known it was a possibility. Deep respect to anyone that can run towards that hazard and work and try and get others out. Ultimately, was the risk of their own life. Jeez, that's what you call luck, mate. But there's so many stories like that. So many stories. If you look up online, there's one that happened near me where I live. If you look up online, the IRK, it's IRK, Irk Valley railway disaster. And one of our local passenger trains hit a goods train, and as bad luck would have it, it hit it on a viaduct, and it went off the viaduct. And a lot were drowned, a lot were killed from the impact. But my mum, not my mum, my grandma, my brother and my sister were just going to get on, and my grandma went, just going to get on that train. My grandma went, hang on 10 minutes, I've just got to get something. And they missed that one. But for the grace of God, they could have got on it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, Raymond, but you'll always get some dicks. Like, deep respect to anyone that run towards that lot that went off that day, when all the others had their instincts telling them and they were going the other way. The first responders were running into it. God love them. What can you say? And then they were stopping for days on end and stopping awake unreal hours to try and find survivors. There's no words to cover them sort of people. No words at all to cover them. That sort of commitment to that sort of thing. You get a lot that are brave on keyboards, but they don't have that bravery. In my local, not too far away from me, we have the Imperial War Museum North, just saying to Raymond, and we've got an actual beam, one of the metal beams, on display in the Imperial War Museum North. And it has written on it, like all museum artifacts, whatever. It has written on it, do not touch. And I thought, no, it's something I've got to do. Because you've seen it all and you sort of feel a connection with it. And I think it's something that should be touched to give you that connection. And it makes you appreciate it more because you look at the thickness of them beams and the steel and you feel it and you look at it and it is how it come off the side. And it's been bent and cut like it were melted butter. It's been bent and cut like it were nothing. And it's something you have to do if you like would just feel it. So yeah, I had to just put my hand over and feel just for that connection. It makes it more of a living museum, if you get what I mean. Yeah, rivet counters. That's another matter. I can say stuff, and like I've done bits in the services, and I can have seen something and know it's factual, and you'll get a rivet counter saying no, they didn't do stuff like that way. You think, well, I'll not disappoint him. I'll not tell him because I know they did. They did. Very valleys. I've not been there, but it has to be a very emotional place. You've got to remember, in one, well, not one split second, but over the morning, thousands of people died in that spot. You just and the bit that got me is the hopelessness of it. The worst bit that got me was people jumping from the floors, thinking they were gonna, thinking that'd give them a better chance of survival than what was coming. When in reality, if you thought about it, you're not going to survive from that height. But to them, it were a better option. It was a catch-22 as it happened, really, because you were dead either way. But the thing that's always haunted me is you can see the rescue services going in, but you can hear the bodies hitting the areas above them. Because a body drop from that height just makes a hell of a noise when it hits something. I've known train drivers that have hit people in trains when you get people decide to end it all on railway. And they say the worst thing they can remember is the noise of them hitting. It's, I knew, well, I didn't know him, my dad knew him. There was a driver, he was a Manchester driver here in UK, and he was driving an express back into Manchester, and he got to the signal box what I worked in, Windsor Bridge, and it goes round a curve as it goes into Manchester. It's where Salford Crescent is now, and there's a brick wall there. And he said, the driver, he said he come thundering round, and just as he were going round the corner, there were a little girl, it's doing about 50 miles an hour, you're not going to stop. 50, 60 you were doing on that part of the railway. And there were a little girl, and she just looked up at him, and as he looked down again, she waved at him. And she didn't move, she didn't understand the danger of the train, and obviously killed, but he never ever drove again. He couldn't get it out of his head. Yeah, it's an awful thing, valleys. What must be in somebody's head to get to that desperation that they throw themselves under a train? It's weird. But you've got to be to a desperate levelling in crisis to do something like that. Poor tormented souls, really. Horrible thing, like you're saying, it's not just them, it's the drivers. Very few will go back to driving after that's happened to them. I had to, when I worked on railways, I worked on platforms for a time, and one day I had to clear all the passengers off one platform onto an adjacent platform while the train come in, and they changed the locomotive over because somebody had jumped in front of it. The police will have wanted the loco because my ex-brother-in-law, he was an ex-police photographer, and he had to photograph for evidence, stuff like that. And he said the one that actually made him leave was photographing under the train after a 100. And he were hard into it. He'd photographed murder scenes and like all sorts. But that was the one that finished him off, apparently. But anyway, on to more cheerful stuff. Like modelling. I don't know what my next video is going to be. I've got some underway. I've got about 6 or 8 videos underway that I'm going to have to finish off. I've got a few locals underway and stuff. I've got American, British. I've got one I really want to do, but I'll have to scratch build handrails. I've got one, I think it's a Tyco bicentennial loco. I quite like the bicentennial ones. I'll have to go and have a look, valleys. I've got a couple of Lima ones here. I've got a couple of them. No, I've got a couple of them now I'm working on. The other half of that one's on the bench. I may make one video. Yeah, I need the weight for one of them. I might just make my own weight for it. But I've got loads of locos that just need little bits doing on them. And I think I might do one video of a few locos that just need little bits. Like this one, Santa Fe one. It just needs the body clips repaired so it clips together proper. Everything else is cool on it. So that's minor work. Nice little Lathern loco. I've got a few with just minor stuff that I should do. Like minor bits and pieces. I've got others that I want to do major stuff on. Like that one. I've bought a CD motor for that one. And I'm planning on detailing it. And I'm planning on... It's nothing like a British Railways Clayton. And it's got the wrong chassis, really. for the Deutsche Bundesbahn one, but it'll make a nice little private shunter. Like, put a bit of detail, put LED lighting in it, CD motor, maybe cab detail, and it should be good. Good to go. Yeah, I like that 94XX. Nice loco. Yeah, it's a good conversion. They're a good conversion. Plus, as well, when you strip the Lima motor out, the remnants of it, you've got spares for other Limas. Because it's a decent motor in that. So I'll take the interior of the motor out. I've got a good source of spares for other Limas. So you get a non-runner. You've got the interior there. It's a good way of doing things, I think. I've got an Armby Class 25 and I may just put a CD motor in that. Excellent, Mick. By display, do you mean on DMC? For those that don't know that are watching in, me and Mick, we go on the DMC Facebook group. It's a good little group for, it's not just die-cast cars, it's other modelers as well. Moz is in there if you know him from Fix Kits. There's a whole host. If you want to know anything about die-cast cars in there, somebody will be in there that knows. You will have none. Yeah, but on the sound of rivets, you can get too hung up and take the fun out of it. I've always had the opinion with models, say, for instance, a mini car. If it looks like a car, if it looks like a mini, and you're happy with how it looks, it's a mini. Or if it looks like this car and if it's got the basic essence of the car it's meant to be, or the locomotive it's meant to be, they've done the job, it's captured. It doesn't have to be exact dimensions. It doesn't have to have the exact amount of rivets. It's the basic overall shape people remember, not how many rivets it has on. No. They already knew. The thing is with rivet counters, they already knew. Say it's a class 47 locomotive. They already know it's a class 47 locomotive to pull you on like the differences. So if they knew it was a class 47 locomotive, as a modeler, the job were done. Anything else like that is just gilding it. The job's already been done. Exactly, Raymond. Like that, like I say. That looks like many locomotives. Well, a couple of locomotives, but it isn't either. It doesn't conform to either of them. It's wrong on many counts. But looking at it and the shape of it and everything, it fills in perfect for the two. It fills in for the Deutsche Bundesbahn shunter, which that had two four-wheeled bogies, not a wheel at each end. And it looks like a Clayton as well. So it's not perfect, but to your mind's eye, shunting with that, it's a Clayton. They have more modern stuff now, but and more accurate and everything, but on your model and making out when that were released, people were more than happy with it because no one else had made it at that time, I don't think, on a ready to run. You know, Lima were, how do you put it? They were actually, at one time, you'd think of them as cheap and cheerful, is the best way to put Lima, as they tried to introduce British HR, which to me would have been the way forward. They had a cracking idea, but because Britain so hung up on the incorrect double O scale, we stuck with double O, which was a wrong scale and never. Well, no, it was a mixture of scale and gauges. HO scale, well, HO scale and gauge are the same. You have the spacing of the wheels correct under the train. In British double O looks like a correctly modelled body, but it's sitting on top of a narrow gauge chassis. And that's what Lima brought out, British outline, HO, and Hornby should have followed them. Hornby should have started bringing in British HO with Lima. But we were so stubborn, we stuck with the incorrect double O gauge. But the thing is with Lima, they made stuff cheap, but it were reliable. And now Hornby, Lima's models, the diesels, far outshone Hornby for detail and correctness. So Hornby bought Lima out, and all Hornby's, well, not all of them, but the biggest percentage of Hornby's diesels are the old Lima diesels. I forget which dimension it is, but the class 66 Hornby uses now is still the old Lima class 59, were it? And it's incorrect as a 66. It's a typical Hornby get out. It's incorrect as what they're selling it as, because it were originally a different class. And it has some different dimension. It fits in for it though. And that's the important thing. It does look like it is what it is, but that was the important thing that Hornby missed, that Lima did. That was a huge mistake back in the late 70s, that Hornby didn't follow Lima. Well, I think River Ross is owned by Hornby now, and I'm not so sure whether Dueth is. Hornby's bought up all these continental companies. Yeah, and I'm to the full mine now. I had Lima. I've not got the original set, but I've rebought the set I had in the 70s. I've got the Lima 4F, the LMS 4F with passenger carriages, and Hornby should have followed them. They should have gone from double O into HO. Yeah, that's what I was saying, UFs. They bought a lot of Continental stuff, Raymond, Hornby. If you look on eBay, there's a lot of Spurs sold on. Here in the UK, there's a lot of Continental Spurs sold on a UF, Riverosse, Lima, etc. And they sold in Hornby packaging. And it's a lot of the old Spurs they sell on. Yeah, the Hornby groups bought one hell of a lot of companies in. And really, I'll be honest, I think it's bad for the hobby that they've bought so many in. Because Lima's competition in the 90s was fantastic. I don't know how on earth Lima did it, but if a livery on a locomotive hit the rails in, say, January, Lima had it in the shops in April. They had a terrific turnaround on new liveries. Lima. Yeah, Humbrol's another one. Although I very rarely touch Humbrol products nowadays. I'm more or less completely acrylic. I've got trays of paints in the other room, but I've got biggest percentage of Citadels. I have God knows how much of the range of Valleos. I've got army paints, right. They're better systems than it's faster to work with acrylics. Ah, right. Thank you, Raymond. Weren't sure why, but in 90s, you couldn't Hornby couldn't come anywhere close to the Lima's diesel range. I'm amazed Hornby survived. If Lima had done a steam range as well, I think they'd have killed Hornby. Yeah, it's a modern day thing for model railways now. I think everything's built in the same factories in China, no matter what company you get it. And as I've said, it's not particularly good quality. A lot of people will say, yeah, it's fantastic, but no, it isn't. Not if you know what quality is. It's cheap, fragile stuff that you know as soon as you try and service it or repair it, it's going in the bin and you're buying another. And that's the aim. What it is, about 99% of people don't understand that goods are built with built-in redundancy. And it's deliberate. It's deliberate. They don't want that logo to last you. The longer it's lasting you, the less items they're selling you. They want it till you break something when you try servicing it or try repairing it, so it won't run again or you can't find the spares. Then, oh, certainly, sir, I'll sell you a new one. The first company that did that, built-in redundancy, were actually a Dutch company. It were Philips light bulbs. They were making light bulbs and they were lasting too long, so they weren't selling enough. So what they did, they deliberately made them worse quality, so they lasted a shorter time, and you had to buy another. That's what it's known as, built-in. It's a manufacturing thing. This is what a lot of people don't understand when they're shouting, oh yeah, you're getting a quality product. You're not getting a quality. It's not the old days when you bought something and it was designed to last. They're deliberately designing them so they don't last. So you have to buy another unit. That's how the companies survive. They're there to sell units. If yours is lasting, they're not selling. Plain and simple. Valleys by... I'm looking at that top lipper. Is that a locomotive or a train? Yeah, Lima, I did. But they were slightly poorer quality, but you paid a lot less for them as well. For Lima. And, you know, a lot of them are still running today. I've had to buy gear wheels. You lose the small. Ah, right, yeah. I think I know the one you mean. Because I have a Dutch electric loco, and I've not seen that. It's a Dutch electric loco in what we, you know, the Dutch livery British Railways took on, the yellow and grey. I've got a Dutch electric loco in that livery. Yeah, it wasn't good, the crab. You're right, it wasn't, and they suffered, a big percentage of them suffered from Mazak rot. I'd like one of them, but I'll guarantee they'll have Mazak rot. Or if it doesn't, it's going to have. I'd like one because it was on. They were on my region and they were built. They were built 2 minutes up the road from me, so I'd like one. They're a nice old thing. See you during week, Mick. I'll catch up with you on Facebook chat if I'm allowed. Like I say, I've got another 30 day. Happy days. Piss people off again, but I should catch it. It should allow me one-to-one on Messenger. Yeah, there's a few. Army have had it recently. The class 31s. If you get them, they split the body. It's that bad. They split the plastic body. They push it and split it open. Yeah, it was. They were an ungainly looking thing, the crab. I'll never forget the first one that were restored was in mid-90s, and I was there when they first shipped it out. It finished its restoration at the East Lancs Railway in Bury, down road from me. So I went to see it when they first shipped it out. Beautiful loco. I think it's under restoration. I think it's due for completion soon. The crab again. So I'll go seeing it, and I don't think I'll be home. I don't think I'll live long enough to see its next restoration. Let's put it that way, but because 94, how many years is that ago now? 94, 2004, 2000, 30 years ago. I've not got 30 years in me. Not the way I feel now. The thing is, and this is the problem with the Mazak, the production in the UK had got rid of it because it's impurities in the metals, and it can be sorted at production, well, at casting stage. It can be sorted if you know what you're doing, casting metals. It's impurities and dirt in it. It's bad Mazak, so you can sort it. But they insisted on shipping out to cheap manufacturing countries. And I'll guarantee all that trouble that they had with the Class 31s, and let's be honest, others in the range, I bet that's offset against any profits they got. You pay for what you get. If you're only willing to pay so much for product. It's like people say, oh, they pay a lot for them. I said, if you're buying one of them locos for 300 quid, they've got it built and everything and packaged. They've got it for under 50 quid a unit. And they know, no, they won't be that cheap. All on be supporters. I'll guarantee you they will be. I'll guarantee you, for the locals you're paying 300 quid for, they've got them for under 50 quid a unit. Although, if they're not doing it for that, they're not good businessmen. It doesn't be a good deal of the money isn't going back into the business. Like the old days, it'd go back into the business. But nowadays, you've got investment bankers involved, shareholders, offshore banks. It's all the bankers, it's not production costs and everything. To a degree, there is production costs there. But it's bullshit to the extent they're telling you it is. The biggest thing is the people that are drawing off the business, that don't do diddly squat for it. Yeah, but the thing is, capital investment, yeah, it gets its returns, but how much is greed rather than just making enough, if you know what I mean? I mean, say you loan to get a project off the ground. Say you loan, for instance, 1,000,000, and you get 2,000,000. You've doubled your investment. After everything's done, you get 2,000,000. You're happy, you've doubled it. But these want to quadruple it. They're no longer happy with just making a profit. They want to make extortionate profits for the shareholders. Because you've got this bank wants money, this shareholder wants money, these offshore banks, these people want. Everyone's in your pockets nowadays. Taxes, what's that all about? Charge you on your income, charge you on your purchase, tax you on your income, tax you on your purchases, tax the next person if you hand over purchases that you've already paid tax on. Yeah, you can. Earthix, for one model at least, has brought manufacturing back to this country. The mould, I think it's the 148 Spitfire in a place in Kent, but I don't know whether the boxes are made in this country. But it's certainly injection moulded in this country. Because but Hornby, because they're so tight, they're not happy now with paying the Chinese a decent living wage, because the Chinese want a decent living wage. So Hornby are saying, well, let's move production to India. And a friend works closely with Airfix, let's say. He's got some. They're making stuff in India at the moment for Airfix. And he said the quality that's coming out of India is dire. He said it's got scratches all over the plastic. It's substandard plastic. So India may well be the next option for Hornby. And God help us if it is, because they really don't give a shit. At least the Chinese have some sort of work ethos and some sort of quality ethos. India won't give a shit. Yeah, there will be Newlyn. There will be. Good evening as well. There will be. All they're interested is taking advantage of cheap labour. Truth be known, they're using slave labour, which is criminal, and partly why I won't buy an Hornby product. They don't want to give anyone a living wage, because the Chinese want a decent wage, like I've said. They want to go and take advantage of India now. And India won't say no, because they want the work. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Newlyn. And Hornby will take advantage of it. They're not bothered what quality you get. They'll just sell you cheap shoddy shite that's been made by a workforce on, let's be honest, it's probably 10 times less than our minimum wage. They'll be lucky, some of them, if they get in a bag of rice a month. And I just don't buy that. taking advantage. Even as a kid, I remember model railways was something you had to save for. And today's society, we've got a society that wants everything now. Yeah, I'd believe you, Valleys. I used to work in engineering, and I worked in particular, the last thing I did in engineering were working in aerospace heat hardening. So I worked for a company that did heat treatments of metals to uh, specified hardness, shall we say, and it's very technical. And something happened there. We had this were what, 2003, 2004. I was working there, and at that time they had a Chinese student there. They were at university in this country, but they were going back to China, and they were inside our factory watching everything we did, jotting down all the numbers, all the everything. You may as well have got a spy in and give them the books and give them everything to read and tell them how to do everything, because that's what they've done. They may as well have. The tolerances we were working for were for the aerospace engineers. So you've taught them everything they know for aviation engines, other components we made. They've taught the Chinese everything they need to know for their weapons technology. Not the brightest of people, we aren't. Not bright at all. Yeah, that's what the Chinese do. Look and copy. But on paper, I'll guarantee it won't be anywhere near the performance of the F-22. It won't have the tech on board that the F-22 has. But having said that, put up against older tech that other countries have, is going to be a winner. Put it directly up against an F-22 and I'd have me money on the F-22 every minute of the day, because they've developed that to perfection. Like the Chinese version will be, that's near enough. Which in an head-to-head dogfight it isn't. It just isn't. You have to have all the tech working together. That's not to say they haven't made a damn good go of it, but I'll guarantee the F-22 would be on top. I've watched the F-18 Hornet perform at an air show, and I've stood and looked at that doing manoeuvre and think, how did he do that in something like that? Just chucked it around. What a machine. Yeah, The F-22 would shoot it down from miles away. The Chinese wouldn't even see the F-22. Guarantee it. Guarantee the F-22 wouldn't be seen before he'd had them. In fact, he'd have probably had 4 of them. It's a top line aircraft against a I wish I was aircraft, basically. Anyway, guys, it's coming up to 11 and I'm in work after tomorrow. I'm nearly on the 3-hour mark. It's been a good night again. Thank you all for joining in. And I'm going to say good night, lads. That's astounding, Valleys, isn't it? 128 targets. What can you say? Yeah, night Raymond, night Valleys, night Newlyn. Yeah, but the thing is, Newlyn, I think they built about 10 aircraft carriers. You can afford one cracking. I'll tell you what, Valleys, Russia weren't banking on Ukraine being as good as they were. They've had a damn good shock. Yeah, I've got a few weeks now where I'll probably be doing Valleys. I've made it a bit longer tonight because I've been away for ages due to work. But yeah, hopefully I'll get a few in the next few weeks. Been good chatting to you all again. A good stream again. And I really am saying good night because I'm going taking me meds and getting a shower, ready for work tomorrow. The dreaded thing that pays the bills. Fantastic. I'll keep my eye out. I'll keep my eyes out, Valleys. Anyway, I keep going the wrong way. I can never get used to this camera being the opposite way around. Anyway, tatty pie, people. Tatty pie. Take care and see you on the next one.